You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
Hello, and welcome out there in podcast land. You have stumbled upon or gratefully found Johnny Has the Keys, a podcast where two friends get together. We discuss horror movies, science fiction movies, sometimes books, sometimes television, sometimes special events, key influences on those particular genre items, and the influences that they have left behind. My name is David. I'm here with my good friend Tim. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Hey, David, I'm doing well. I'm just boogieing along in my genre little world. What are you doing this week?
Boogie and genreing are good. We do want to thank
Sorry,
everybody
I
for
just
joining
time
us.
traveled back a little bit to the 70s,
Boogie,
Got my boogie
boogie
shoes
nights.
on. Boogie
Uh,
nights, yeah.
If you are finding us for the first time, great, yay, please. If you are watching us on our YouTube channel, please ring that bell or subscribe or do all those good things. If you have found us on your podcast listening platform of choice, yay, great. And if you're returning, of course, we thank you for coming back and listening to us again. We are, a third of the way, so to speak, in our fourth season, and we're excited to be here. Tim, what have you been doing this week for genre fun other than
Well, it
podcasting?
wasn't exactly genre fun. I was anticipating it to be, but I was somewhat disappointed.
In what way?
I finally got around to watching an indie favorite called Saint Maud, which
Saint Maud?
yeah, it got really high marks on Rotten Tomatoes, like a 94,
See, that
and
was
a
your
lot
first
of
mistake right there. I can just tell
no,
you.
the critics were praising it for being, I don't know, very scary, like the scariest thing you're going to see this year, or what have you.
Mm.
And as you can see from the picture of that woman levitating behind me, I naturally assumed I was walking into some kind of possession movie.
Yeah.
And
Tim has a picture up that looks kind of like a silhouette from Conjuring. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then she's over on the poster as well with her arms out like she's a saint, as in Saint Maud. Um, Not good. This movie, you know how well I like a slow burn movie.
Yeah.
Hereditary to me is a slow burn movie. Any of those Aster movies like Midsommar, but this movie is beyond slow. I mean, it creeps, and I'm like, where's the horror? This is not a horror movie, and it's got this really annoying music that's just like electronic pulses, and sometimes they get really loud, and that's even more annoying. It's a dong, 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 dong. And I wasn't happy with it. This movie is about a religious fanatic that is mentally ill,
Mm.
and eventually there is a murder, but it took way too long to get there, and I hate to report that I'm just not a fan. So if you are a fan out there, I would like to hear from you, and I would like to know why. Maybe I was in a
Why?
bad mood when I watched it. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Well, sad that your genre escapade was not a good one this week. It wasn't,
No.
the Western Indian girl walks down the street in the cold or whatever that one
Well,
was
and
that
it's
I
not
was.
even a foreign film. I mean, unless you include, I think it's British. It's not subtitled. I think it's English.
Right.
Um, but it's just so slow.
So slow.
Dong,
It's so
dong, dong,
slow.
dong.
Well,
So,
my genre week was a little bit different, but enjoyable as opposed to yours, I guess. I
well,
was
good.
really busy with work and family stuff and everything else. I didn't really have a good chance, but I did take time because I found out my good friend Tim had guest starred on a podcast where they were talking about zombies. So I decided, hey,
Wow,
what
that's
the
amazing. I
hey?
was on a podcast talking about zombies.
You were, and so I've been watching and listening and everything to that because they are the same way. It's a podcast, but it's video as well.
Hmm.
Um, and it was you and four other writers.
Hmm.
And it was really interesting. It was a lot of fun to hear all of the comments between the five of you essentially, and
Yeah.
what you liked, what you agreed on, what each of you. I love the fact that on a couple of because basically it was like an interview show. The host was like throwing out questions to you guys, and maybe you could put a link in the show notes so people could watch it.
Right.
And then you would all give your opinions, and I found it very interesting on the ones where it was like there was one holdout who really liked it, and all four of the rest of you hated it, or
It
it
was
was the
Army of Dark.
opposite.
I mean, Army of the Dead or
Army of the
whatever.
Dead,
Yeah,
that
only
Zack
one of
Snyder
us
thing.
liked it. The rest of us were trashing it for sure.
Yeah. And like other stuffs where somebody would go, oh, what about this? And it would be like, no, we don't like that part of it, yada, yada. It was really interesting. And some really good, it was good, I guess, from a marketing angle, because it really made me interested in some of their other books, and what
Right.
they were writing about and their topics and stuff. So that was
Yeah,
fun.
I'm reading one of Annie's right now. Annie is A.M. Griever. She's the one that disagreed with me vehemently over Black Summer.
Oh, yes.
She was
Yes.
like, no, that was stupid. I was screaming at the television. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah,
So, yeah, it was, but it
it's
was
normally a
enjoyable.
podcast. And yeah, that's the first time Randy had ever done video. That's why it's kind of unedited. Like you hear him
Right.
go 3, 2, 1 at
Right.
the beginning.
Right.
But yeah.
And yeah, and it was good to see a topic topics that you guys could obviously are passionate about, love, everything else, and to hear you could see in each of you your own kind of writer's perspective in what you liked in the genre, which was interesting,
Very cool.
which I like that. I thought that was really cool. So that's what I did in my week,
You
so it was all
watched
about
me.
zombies, it was a zombie week.
Wow, that is quite the segue. That and my wonderful backdrop of hands clutching at the Johnny Has the Keys logo.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to our topic of the week, which is a little film called Train to Busan. And, cue the applause and all the catcalls and cheers. This is a Korean movie. Yes, it's a foreign movie. Came out in 2016. It is a rather popular movie in Korea. We'll get into that in a minute. We've covered a Korean movie last year called The Host. But this one's got a rather simple premise. It's about a father and his daughter. The father's name is Suk-woo, I believe you pronounce, and his daughter's name is Soo-An. And he's separated from his wife, but I guess has custody, and she wants to visit her mother. And he is a very business, like stockbroker, something to do with making money.
He's a fund manager.
There you go. And he doesn't want to take the time off to escort her. She's very young on the train, and promises her he will do it later, but she gets all upset and says, you always say that and it never happens. So he breaks down and decides to take her. And as they are getting on the train, or as they are on the train and the train's departing, she notices something a little odd outside the window. And basically what has happened is that during their commute from Seoul to Busan, two big cities in Korea, there's been a zombie apocalypse. So basically you've got Runaway Train meets, Night of the Living Dead, or actually more like 28 Days Later, where they're on a train, and one of the infected does happen to get on the train, and it becomes all kinds of zombie chaos at 90 miles an hour, however fast this train's going. So
zombie on a plane.
That's it. Exactly. Zombies on a train.
Yeah.
It is the easy way to sum this movie up.
Yep.
I am assuming that since it's a foreign film, you have not seen it.
I had not seen it. No, I had not.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was your first take on that?
I have to say, well, first, as kind of like a precursor for this entire thing, I will not pronounce anyone's name correctly.
Right. Yeah, me
So
too.
I have kind of categorized them by character types rather than their names, because some of their names I didn't even know by the end of my notes and everything. Um, uh, but I was amazed that it was 20. And I guess my first observation was I was amazed it was 2016. This movie looked so good, it could have come out last year.
Yeah.
It was very well done. And when I did my research after watching it, I was thrown away by this was the guy's first directorial debut of live action, the
Right.
director. And that's a hell of a debut, probably one of the best I've ever seen, if that's his debut. But he had been doing animated, so he was used to visuals and construction and framing and all of that, which a lot of this looks like comic bookish, although not in just in the fact that it's kind of really unique framing. Not that it's a creep show and it looks like a comic book. It's not
No,
that
it
at
looks
all.
storyboarded. It looks
It looks
very
storyboarded
storyboarded.
and
Yeah.
structured and very well done. The teaser, well, okay. Overall, loved it. I thought this was a great zombie movie. And I went into this going, I will hate this. This thing is just gonna be, not only is it zombies, it's gonna be foreign and I'm not gonna like it. It was very well done, mostly
Right.
because it had great direction, it had a great pacing all the way through.
And the characters are there's some depth to some of the characters too.
Yeah, there's depth
Mhm.
and there's defined logical steps. A lot of zombie movies tend to not make sense. There were only a couple of those in this where I was going, it's like we did when we did Army of the Dead. One of the big
Mhm.
things was, okay, so Dave Baptista's character turns in about 38 seconds. Yet this guy can drive to another state, rent a plane, fly to Mexico, and he's not turned yet.
He's not turned
And,
yet. Right.
um,
And in
and
this one, they don't leave that to any imagination. They just make it happen instantly.
yeah,
It's
well,
like
nearly
the
instantly.
minute you die, you're back.
The longest three are, to me, the last three conversions. So um the big, what I call the big husband, who was the big guy, who was great.
Oh, he's my
His
favorite.
was a little bit longer in the turn.
Mm-hmm.
The father's longer in the turn, and the villain's longer in the turn.
Right.
A little bit though, but not unrealistically, because we also saw Grandma took a little while to turn, or whatever, or Aunt Mildred, or whatever, the older woman,
Uh-huh.
and a few other people at times. So he set the precedent that sometimes it's like, I bite your jugular, your eyes go white, and you jump up and run. Or sometimes it's you move and then you contort and your back breaks in 8 places and it sounds awful and all that. And then you move.
Yeah, it's gross. I was under the impression that sometimes before you die, your eyes are already kind of going white.
Yeah.
And you're like
Yeah.
fighting it.
Well, that
and
was
then,
happening to the big guy. He was holding, but his eyes were going,
right,
but he was going, run. No, seriously, run. I'm getting tired.
right. And it was kind of heroic that he was fighting it and fighting them at the same time, which is kind of similar to the father at the end. He was trying to fight it to where he could get off the train before he said,
Well, and that's
after
what
he
I
said bye.
really give it. I give it great imagination for terror in such a confined space. I mean, they're in and nobody gets on top of the train to run. Nobody hangs out the windows or any of that. It's just very well paced. And then really cool with the surprises and the way things plot out at the end. I did not expect some of the deaths that occurred, and that was good.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good thing, that I couldn't predict them. I was going, oh, I can't wait till bad villain gets his. That'll be great. Yada yada. We know it's going to happen. It's just, when is it going to happen and by who? And probably it's going to happen by Dad, but I didn't expect the twist.
Right.
So yeah, I have high praise for it. It was a I would highly recommend this as a zombie movie. It's good.
Well, and I'm glad you did, but no. Well, here's a warning: the sequel is terrible, and it's the same director. It's called Train to Busan Peninsula, and it's like he decided to go further on the action and car chases and stuff. It's just not as good. He did a prequel though, that came out almost just a month later, and it is animated, and I did like it. But you can try the sequel out just to see what I'm talking about, but it's not as good, and it doesn't have the same premise of being on a train, you know.
Well, I went into this even to the end of the movie and then looked it up in credits, but I went into this thinking that it was who is it, Bing Wan-ho, the guy that did Snowpiercer and Parasite. I thought it was the same director, but it's not. It's a totally different director.
His name is Sang Ho Young.
Yeah, whatever, that guy,
Yeah,
the director.
that guy.
Yeah.
And he's not done anything else. He's working on a series called Hellbound, but I don't think it's affiliated with Clive Barker because it's a Korean production.
I mean, so maybe it was that he had an incredible cinematographer and we just don't know, or something like that, because this movie is really well crafted. I mean, I love the teaser with the guy in the truck and that's what
I was going to say, the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way they do the deer and everything, that's creepy. That was a good creepy scare moment.
Right. Like, why didn't he do that for the sequel? Like an animal zombie movie. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the sequel, so I can't say, but yes, that would have been something when you're, you think you finally fought off the evil humans and the zombie humans, and then like a zombie bat comes in and bites you or something,
right. And it was so cool the way he did that deer reanimating. It looked real.
Oh yeah, I swear it was. Look, I said, okay, so they drugged and did some of this deer and then just filmed it in reverse or something. I don't know. It was really good.
And then all they did was put, I guess, the optical on the eye to have the cloudy eye. But I mean, that was a scary looking little deer after it got back up.
Yeah, and the cloudy eyes with just a little blood on the fur, and then you hear the thump, 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 music.
Yeah.
Music in this is good though. Music works all the way through this.
I think so too. It's got some sweeping stuff with the sadness. It's very emotional, I would say. That would be how I would describe it. A little bit of background. We mentioned Sang Ho Young, who directed it. It was written by Joo Suk Park, and he's only done this in one other movie. So they're both kind of new on this movie, which I found interesting. I read in IMDb where it was like the third highest grossing domestic film of South Korea of all time, but that was a dated reference. So I looked up some current information, and it's the 14th highest domestic film of all time in Korea. The Host has gone down too, and it is number 18. So in the top 20 movies of all time of Korea, 2 are for sure horror movies. This and The Host. Good. Yeah, I like that. And the percentages may be about
I definitely have The Host as a key for this, just because of the feel of it. The Korean feel, definitely, but also just the cinematography is very similar. The type of lensing, the type of lensing he's using, and the color washes are really similar to The Host.
I totally agree. Sorry, I lost my place. I was writing your key down. It grossed 93 million worldwide, and it was the first South Korean film to cross the million mark at the Singapore box office. And that's, Singapore is China, right? I think. Yeah. Or it was at one time British, but I think it's China now. It premiered at one of those midnight screenings at the Cannes Film Festival. We've talked about how they always like to do the scary ones at night, man. Can you imagine the people that went in to see this at midnight? I'd be like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because normally you'd be kind of sleepy, but this movie is not a movie to sleep during. It is not that Saint Maud thing I watched earlier. This movie's great.
Yeah, no, this was definitely of the 28 days later variety of zombie. So this is not a Romero zombie at all. This is more like World War Z, 28 Days, all those. Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you that Ma Dong-suk, who plays the big guy that has the pregnant wife on the train, was nominated for 2017 Asian Film Award in Supporting Actor for his role. And I thought it was
Good.
well deserved because I
Yeah.
really liked him. He is my favorite character in this whole movie. Um, so,
And
but
he and his wife have a great rapport. She says, don't say that in front of the girl. And he's like, what? It's true. What? What do you want me to do?
right. And like
it's-
she's like mad at him when he's knocking on the bathroom door too.
yeah.
He's like,
And he's like, baby, it's okay. Baby, you okay? Yeah.
right, there they are. Did before we move on to more on cast though, what scenes stick out to you in this movie or that are memorable?
The slow burn pace at the beginning, I liked. I liked the way he got the information across. So it's not so much a scene as it is the way that happens, from them driving in and suddenly almost being blindsided by all the vehicles going, and you just see out his window reflection, something burning way in the
building
city
on fire,
to the way just the shadow runs past the conductor onto the train, and we don't know who that is. And then he's looking up the stairs and there's all this confusion and people, but he doesn't know what's up, sort of thing. They leave, and then it's just slowly, we find it through the news broadcasts and through what happens. That was good. The first realization that they could sneak by them because they can't see in the dark was a great scene. The fact that I had when the second time they do that, when they have the whole group together and they're crawling along the
luggage rack,
the luggage racks,
yeah.
I thought something stupid's going to happen, and I was really glad that nothing stupid happened. I really liked the way they did that. They didn't go for cliche in that,
like knocking off something that makes a noise.
Yeah,
well, they
like,
actually do that. That's how we determine how to distract them. But,
yeah, well, he throws the bag behind them and they all run that way, and that lets us down. It's going, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, because you're like, how do they get from cart to cart? That's crazy, man. It's a cart full of ravenous zombies.
Yeah. And the rest of them were just great plotting things, or things that surprised me. The fact that all of the people in the protected car that have tied themselves in are worse than the monsters outside.
Right.
And
Very
they forced them out. Very Romero. I loved that scene and the way that was all done. I was very surprised with, like I said, the death sequences at the end. All of those got me, from the cheerleader to the villain to the dad. I really like, but going back to the protected group, I really like that the aunt or the grandmother or whatever opens the door. I loved that. It was just like,
and he sees her going to do it too.
Stop that woman, sort of thing. And I like the way he did the tension at the very end with the two survivors. I'm going, no, don't do this. Don't do a Night of the Living Dead. Don't do a Night of the Living Dead. And all of a sudden the girl starts singing. Yeah. And I went, oh, that was brilliant. That's great. That's a great idea, because zombies don't sing.
Well, and it unifies the film, because it goes back to when he did not see her sing, and she said she couldn't because he wasn't there or something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
and it's
never there to see her.
And for some reason, and I thought this was funny, when I looked at the film on IMDb, it said languages Korean and Hawaiian. And I was like, is that why she sings that weird Hawaiian song at the end? Because that's a Hawaiian song, not a Korean song.
Yeah, it's the Hawaiian song.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, why is she singing a Hawaiian song? I don't know. It works. It works really well.
Well, just because you're Korean doesn't mean you don't like Hawaii.
That's true. And they're probably closer. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know geography.
A third of the way across the Pacific, lad.
Two things that you mentioned that I liked are the director, damn, I've already forgotten one of them, but it's when the director kind of fucks with you and he's doing it intentionally. But like you said, when you see that shadow jump into the train, you think, oh my God, that's an infected person. But then later, when you know somebody's locked in the bathroom and they open the door, you think it's going to be a zombie, and it's not. It's a homeless person that just jumped in there to hide.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, so it's like you thought he was the shadow that jumped on the train, but he wasn't. Or I don't think he was. I think that was probably an infected person.
No, it was the girl that gets infected at the very beginning. I remember then
Right.
the conductor girl goes over to her, Miss, are you okay, Miss? And
I love when she's dead, and this is the scene where, you know, we're talking about scenes, and I guess you'd say train attendant, whatever, is on her knees, like I think she's trying to call somebody on her phone, and you see the zombie do the thing in the background where it sits up and its back breaks and makes that crack noise or whatever. It's just like, oh, turn around.
Now, is that a cliche of Korean zombies? This whole kind of chiropractic twisty weirdness thing?
I want to say it is. It's been a minute since I saw that series Kingdom, but Kingdom is another great period piece zombie drama that was set in Korea, and I think they do that too. I'm pretty sure. So it may be a Korean thing. Back to another thing that's
creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy. And then they're just like, I mean, they're so fast. The other thing I thought that was really cool was what you were talking about, when the so-called safe people barricade themselves in and won't let the 5 or 6 in that have managed to survive because they're afraid that they've been bitten or something. And during the scuffle, the 2 older ladies had gotten separated, and one of them's on the other side, and she's turned into a zombie. And I don't know if the sister is upset that they're, you know, banning people and locking them out, but she just decides, screw this, I'm just gonna be with my sister. And she gets up and she goes to let the sister in, which compromises the safety of all those that had banned the previous group. That to me was like biblical. It was like everything happened for a reason, and had they been in there, they wouldn't be alive, because everybody in there is dead now. Right. It was almost like one of my big keys for this. You're going to love this. One of my biggest keys is the Poseidon adventure.
Yes, like I've got that too. Yeah.
They're moving from compartment to compartment, and just the flick of the tiniest thing could devastate anyone left behind. And that's exactly what happens in this movie.
The comparison to me was Poseidon Adventure and Snowpiercer, because it's the same thing. Each compartment has new challenges and new things they have to deal with.
Right.
You know, in Snowpiercer, it's a totally different society. And now here we're the rich people. And then here's the education car. And then here's the total BS. But anyway, but in this one, like Poseidon Adventure, it's a different thing each time. How are we going to approach this problem? Until we finally get to, back to society, and they kick us out. It's like, okay, well, then you get what you do. There's a lot of class thematic in this, which I really like, because it's not heavy-handed. It's there, but they don't
it's definitely
ram it home. You know, he has this whole, I mean, it's the big guy and husband or dad. That's the way I call them, you know, their relationship and the way it changes. At first, he totally disrespects him, and the dad's like, look, you only look after yourself, honey. Take care of yourself, da, da, da. And he's the one that ends up sacrificing himself at the end, the same way he does, you know, and he hates the fund managers. He, you know, even says at one point to him, he goes, so you're a fund manager, right? So you're used to screwing people over. So it should be easy for you, right?
Yeah, you're confusing me just a little bit, because the married guy is big.
Yeah, he's the big guy.
When you call big guy, I think of the married guy. But
that's who it is.
Guy
big
is
guy,
like,
and
it's like white collar, blue collar.
Yes, totally.
Right.
And their shirts give that away. But anyway,
right, they do. I love any scene with big guy. I mean, with blue collar husband to the pregnant woman. He's my absolute favorite. I just think he's got it. He's got that thing that some actors have where
Oh yeah.
they're going to be a star.
Oh yes, he does.
And you, as far as the classes that you were talking about, you're right. It goes from the very top to the very bottom, because you have Mr. Businessman in first class that's killing, throwing people to the zombies to survive, and he's just a total asshole. But then you have the homeless guy that sacrifices himself to save the others at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the two main guys in the middle. You've got the white collar guy and the blue collar guy. I mean, it's all over the board, but it's not down your throat like preachy.
Right. The same thing with the other thematic that goes through is this distrust of authority. Authority, don't trust what people are telling you in the government, because it won't be right.
Mm-hmm.
Because, all while these riots are going on, the guy's going, the government has this under control. We're all good. Don't worry. The conductor, the same way, he's going, is this safe? And they're going, oh yeah, it's safe. Just go ahead. You'll be fine. Just, It's like, no, they're not. They're not fine at all. Nothing's fine.
And another thing I love about this movie is you're like, oh my God, it's zombies on a train. How long can we watch zombies on a train? Well, they get off the train twice.
Twice.
Like they get off at a station and they think everything's cool, but we know it's not, because there's nobody around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
See, and that would be my first sign. It's that Eddie Murphy thing about,
get out.
Get out. Too bad we can't stay, baby.
Yeah.
We step off the train, nobody's around. All right, let's get back on.
Yeah. Like you see a stuffed animal laying there, or maybe a blood smear on the wall, and you're like, what's going on? And then they get to the bottom of the escalator where the military is supposed to have everything in control, and there's just a whole bunch of military zombies comes flying up the escalators.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that scene.
I wanted to go back and check, but one of my high praise of this movie, and something I think makes it very unique or different or refreshing, is there are no guns in this movie.
No.
So, I mean, the Army has guns, but I'm pretty sure, I'm not certain. I'm trying to think back to the beginning and the riots and all that, but I don't think you ever see a gun fired. I don't think anybody shoots in this movie. And
you see them at the end when you think they're going to shoot the little girl.
The sniper.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no guns
and
in
I
this movie.
love that, because so many times in zombie fiction, no matter what, it's just shoot him in the head,
right? And especially in a movie that's fast-paced zombies, like that stupid Army of the Dead. It's like, let's see how many machine gun cartridges we can use on a horde or whatever. And I'm like, what if you don't have guns? I mean, when I lived in Europe, Greece didn't have guns. I mean, the only time you saw guns were at the airport on military, and that was it.
Yep.
So I
think another
Korea
one
may be the same.
Another question I had for you in this is scene-wise. What is it? I forgot it now, but it is. I do kind of struggle with what the zombies want. In Romero's zombies, they eat. They're hungry. They eat bodies. In Return of the Living Dead, they eat brains. That's what they want. They want your brain. What do they want in this? Because they bite people and then nothing happens.
They spread. What I have always, my reasoning behind these fast-paced zombie movies has always been, it's like a metaphor for disease. It's like the spreading and the survival of the organism. And
it's more like virus or rabies or something.
I would say rabies is a good analogy.
You're just crazy.
They are. They just go stark raving mad and spread the disease. They attack.
And so anything but you can obviously tell the distinction between those like you and those not like you, right? Because they're not biting each other.
No,
right?
No, right. It's very similar in that regard to Romero.
So they can somehow tell, oh, that's an uninfected cell. I need to go over there and bite it, or whatever.
That's exactly the way I would describe it. It's like a disease spreading, and rabies is a good analogy. And they even, in a lot of these movies, refer to it as infection. I think they do that in World War Z as well, which is
they call the infected, the COO says they're infected, get rid of them, So so they use that term in this a lot. Yeah.
But again, the reason this movie works, and you've heard me say it a million times, and I'll say it again, is because you care about the people in it. You care
Yes.
about the man and his wife. You care about the father and his daughter. You care about the homeless man, and you even care a little bit about the boy on the baseball team and his girlfriend.
Yeah, the cheerleader. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and look at it. Zack Snyder learned from this. This has a father and a daughter too, but we care about them.
Right.
We didn't care about your Dave Baptista father and his daughter
Mm-hmm.
because they made stupid decisions all the way through it.
Right.
And we didn't have enough backstory at the beginning to give it clout. I love the scene where he sits there and he gives her the birthday present. And he's so happy that he remembered it. And then she looks at it and glances up and he looks over and she's already got the wheel.
She's already got one. And he probably
And
gave
what
her
makes
that
it
one
worse
too.
is then she says, "You got it for me."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh crap. I mean, as a dad, you that would be a horrible moment. You don't want those moments where you're not there. You know, you're not present enough in their lives. And I love all of the comment on family that is threaded through this too, from the aunt and her mom or whatever, the lady that opens the door for her.
The two old ladies. Yeah.
Yeah. To the even the villain turns to the girl and goes, if you don't study, you'll end up like him, talking about the bum.
Such an asshole.
Yeah, he's such a jerk. But that whole familial thing about, the big guy tells Dad, if you're not in her life now, she'll remember that later, that you're not present and you're not being with her, kind of thing. And it's just the family elements are really good through this too. The cheerleader and the guy, and he's like the nerd, but she sits beside him, and that makes it neat. And that really surprised me too, that both of them died. I went, what? I thought they would at least live. Come on, you're killing me here.
I love again, this is scenes, a juxtaposition. The dad meets big guy because he's about to shut the door and not let him and his wife in. And then his daughter's like, you have to let them in or whatever. I like him. I know him or something. And then later on, when they're in the station and dad gets tied up, they're all on the other side of the glass and he's about to shut the door and he just goes, hey, asshole, come on.
Yeah, come on, run.
He calls him an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Great characters, great
awesome.
characters. It really works and it's like I wrote them all down. So I've got my cast of characters. Speaking of cast, are
yeah, we'll go on the cast. That's cool.
And the group of survivors, essentially the fund manager, dad, daughter, big guy, pregnant lady, bum with vision because he keeps saying they're all dead, they're all dead, they're all dead. Baseball guy, baseball cheerleader, conductor, and the villain COO. That's
CLO.
the group. COO, Chief Operating Officer. He keeps saying I'm
like the big guy,
head of this corporation, yada, yada, da, da, da.
I also thought it was a nice little, get to Busan.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little tap touch that, remind me of that. Must get to Busan. Oh, wait. Two things real quick. So COO, I like it. It was a nice touch when the dad gets on the phone with his business partner and finds out that they support the company that created the disease.
They may have somehow, I was going to get to that next, that they may have somehow been responsible for what's going on.
Yeah.
Because of their sellout or whatever. A
nice layer. They tap on it. It has emotional resonance, but then they get over it. They don't drag it out. They don't make it a big deal. They don't dwell. The other thing too, which I didn't get, and maybe it's because of a cultural difference, but I got the distinct impression when the villain COO guy because his eyes they're on the secondary train and they're leaving the engine.
The engine,
and his eyes are already glazed over. He's been bitten, obviously. He's going to go. But he says, I have to get to Busan because of my mom. I'm afraid and I miss my mom. And I'm thinking, is that a cultural thing about your mother? And we're trying to redeem him a little bit at the end, saying it's not that he's trying to get to Busan because he's an asshole jerk. It's because he really does want to get to his family and his mom. And we're supposed to feel sorry right before we kill him.
I don't know. I have no
but I
idea.
didn't.
No,
I mean, I'm just
I
saying,
didn't feel
if that
sorry
was
for
the
him at
intent,
all.
I
He
didn't
just
feel
fed
sorry.
the conductor to a bunch of zombies.
Who I liked. I love the conductor
The
guy. I thought
conductor
he
was great. He was just trying to do his job.
So yeah, I was going that whole scene. He was doing all that dialogue. I was going, no, throw him off. There's an opening in the rail right there. Throw him off.
I
Throw
also
him
love that most of the attendants were trying to do their jobs too, but you had the one slime that teamed up with the CEO guy.
Yeah, the scared guy.
The
He was just
scared
scared.
attendant.
Yeah.
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 The CEO was bossing him around and telling him what to do. Yeah.
Oh, and
yeah.
that was a good plot twist point when it shows, you know, obviously everybody in that compartment is killed because daughter opens the door to mom or whatever.
Yeah.
The two older
Old
ladies.
lady. Two old ladies.
And two old ladies. Old lady one opens it up for old lady two.
Yeah.
And so we're going, oh my gosh, they're all dead. Da, da, da. And so we're getting ready to survive. And then suddenly it cuts to the bathroom and the villain and the scaredy guy have lived through the
Yeah.
attack.
He's got a
And I'm like,
walkie-talkie or something.
oh,
Yeah.
you jerks. Damn it.
I know. I know. You didn't want them to live, and they did.
I know. But they had to because the last act, you know, we have to have him at the end.
Right.
Sort of thing.
It's so funny. We keep saying they don't dwell on it. They don't dwell on it. Well, it's a 90-mile-an-hour train with a bunch of fast zombies on it. There's no time to dwell on anything.
True.
They touch on it appropriately and they move on to the next frame or the next, you know, panel in a cartoon or comic book. Yeah. Freaking loved it. I don't have a lot on cast, and like you said, I can't pronounce hardly any of them and don't do them justice. But I did want to touch base on the guy that plays the husband, big guy. His name is Ma Dong-suk, and he has already been cast in the Eternals as Gilgamesh, which is a Marvel movie. That's why I'm saying someone else knows this guy's going to be big besides us. So but get this, before this movie, you know what he was?
No.
He was Mr. Businessman lead Gong-Yoo's personal trainer.
Really? That's kind of like the Harrison Ford, he's my carpenter, I'm going to put him in my movie.
Exactly. So the father lead of this movie somehow got his personal trainer cast in the part of the husband with the pregnant wife. And I'm telling you, he steals the movie.
He does.
And when he dies, you're like, no, it's like the worst death because he's the cool one.
Yep.
And the funny one. So.
Yeah. Well, and the one with the insight. I mean, you know, you know, even when they're like, again, compartment to compartment, he's going, okay, so there's more in this one. What are we doing now?
Give me your phone.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I like and then later on the dad chides him and goes, why do you have such a bad ringtone? I remember that line. Yeah. He's great. The cast overall is great. I don't think there's any stinkers in it that I don't like.
The little girl's good. She's really good.
She's really strong to be able to do that amount of emotional context all the way through is good. Because she plays all those things about, I really love you, Dad, but you're not doing the right thing right now, kind of thing. And the way she says it and facial expression, everything. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I do think there's a bit of again, it may be a cultural thing, but there is you know, the women are genuinely all the way through this portrayed very weak or very supporting or very,
agreed.
Oh, you've got to come to my rescue sort of thing. And that's, I think that's just a cultural thing, not just to Korea. I mean, that happens in US movies as well. When
it does. And it's not as much in The Host because you have the sister that's the archer.
Right.
So there's a little bit more or less of that in The Host. So yeah, you may be right. It may be a cultural thing.
Yeah. Or it's just a cliche thing of, you know, the big, strong men will always rescue us. And, you know, the final girl syndrome sort of thing. And I did have that as my notes. This does have two final girls.
It does.
You know,
and one of them doesn't come in until like a third of the way through the movie too.
Right. Right. So, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. It's not cliche. I don't think.
No, not that. No.
I like I said, I don't have anything else on cast because most of these people have only done Korean stuff or nothing at all. I mean, a lot of people are new on this movie,
Yeah.
including Mr. Personal Trainer. I will go on to say that as far as awards, and you know, there's not many awards for this film either because it doesn't play to a lot around the world. But Gong-Yoo, who played the dad, was nominated for a 2017 Asian Film Award in the Best Actor category for his role, Suk Woo. And Ma Dong-suk, the body or the personal trainer, was nominated for a 2017 Asian Film Award for Best Supporting. So they both got nominated for Asian Film Awards.
Well, see, after watching this, I just shake my head and go, okay, so you gave an Academy Award to Parasite, but you didn't give an Academy Award to this. I mean, this was a much better, in my opinion, it was a much better movie.
I haven't
I mean, it was
seen Parasite.
It was a genre piece, you know, and it was horror and everything else. Parasite is not. It's more of a crime thing, maybe, I guess is a better. It's genre bending, so maybe that's why they gave it to it, because it doesn't really fit in any genre. Parts of it are horror, parts of it are crime, parts of it are funny.
And it's an indie darling.
Yeah, well,
I mean, remember back when they didn't ever give movies to, or nominate horror or sci-fi?
Oh yeah.
I mean, like when Silence of the Lambs won, it was like huge because it was like the first horror movie to ever win an award. Can you imagine a zombie movie winning Best Picture of the Year? And a foreign zombie picture for that.
It'll be Army of the Dead. That'll win for Best Picture this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that his sequel was, I'm gonna guess, rushed because it's not good. And it doesn't have as strong a character or writing. But I would recommend watching Seoul Station, which is the prequel that's animated. It was enjoyable.
Okay.
I
think it'd be interesting.
It's not as strong, but it's still fun because it's animated, and I'd never seen an animated zombie before.
So did Peninsula have the same writer?
You know, I didn't look.
That might be the issue then. Maybe he needs good source material, you know?
All I know is they're in the cities driving around in cars, and the cities are very much like Vegas was, all deteriorated, and it looks like it's been 100 years since everything happened. And it's a lot of car chasing, and there's a lot of guns and shooting. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not the same.
Okay.
But Seoul Station is not that way. It's animated. I don't even remember any guns in it. There may be one or two, but it's just basically watching it slowly start to happen. It's cool, and it starts with homeless people.
Nice. Nice.
Okay, I guess we move on to keys. I'll put up another picture there. What keys do you have? Just every fast zombie movie ever.
Yeah, that's basically my thing. I've got Dawn, Day, 28 Days Later. You know, Dawn because of the realism of it, as opposed to Day. I mean, as opposed to Night of the Living Dead, and then Day because of the kind of military influx, and it's a biological weapon and that kind of stuff. 28 Days Later, definitely. This is an homage to that sort of thing all the way through it, from the taking over the cities to the don't trust anybody to, but it does other stuff that I think are very unique and different. You know, you've got a picture there, the whole cluster onto the train and climb over each other like ants.
Where they're dragging behind.
Yeah, but I guess that's in World War Z, but I haven't seen World War Z.
Yeah, don't bother. I mean, this movie stretches the bounds of believability because there is a lot going on, and it probably would not hammer out the way it does, but it's a fun movie and you can enjoy it. World War Z is so improbable that you're like, oh, come on, are you kidding me? It's like there's no hope in World War Z, where you feel like there's hope in this movie.
Yeah. What about you?
All the ones you said, including World War Z. I also added Black Summer because the
Mhm.
zombies in it are very, very similar. They're the rabid ones. They turn pretty fast and just spread the infection. And then I'm assuming when you said Dawn of the Dead, you're talking about Romero's,
Yes,
because
not the
I would
remakes.
put Dawn the remake in there, which is
Oh
very
yeah,
similar as far as
yeah.
fast zombies.
And
I s-
Snowpiercer's in there just because it's on a train, and it's compartment to compartment survival from the back to the front kind of thing.
we should put
Um,
Runaway Train in there too. I forgot about that
Runaway,
one.
yeah, yeah, I could
Mhm.
see that.
That was John
Um,
Boyd, wasn't it?
yeah, I've
And
got, like you said, I've got basically disaster movies: Airplane, Poseidon Adventure, Towering Inferno. Those because
it's Airport,
um,
isn't it? Not Airplane.
Airport, yeah,
Yeah,
Airplane's the parody. Airport,
Towering Inferno.
uh, Towering Inferno, yeah, Poseidon Adventure, especially because it's more of that compartment to compartment sort of
That
feel.
exactly. And I was like, the whole time I was watching it I had not got that the first time. This was the third time I've watched this, by the way, in the
Oh, okay.
space of like a year. And I was like, it's it's the Poseidon Adventure. I mean, it just hit me like bing. It's like
Uh-huh.
eureka. I was like, no, that's why I like it. It's like they're not underwater, but it's tricky getting into different places on this train. And it was the exact same way with the ship.
I've got um I've got Walking Dead only in that A, it's zombie, but B, the thematic that flows through Walking Dead is don't trust society. Society is bad. It will always corrupt itself. And
Hmm.
that kind of happens in this, even when they have that, we're safe. We're in this one compartment. We're all good. Now let's act like total assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just be jerks.
Well, for that matter, you can also include Romero because it's never explained. I mean, not really. It's just kind of hinted at, and all of a sudden it's happening. So you could put Night of the Living Dead in there as well.
Yeah, because we don't need to focus on why. We don't really care about
Mm-mm.
the why. We care about the now, which
Mm-hmm.
is how do we handle it,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is what the best zombie movies do. We don't need a long explanation. We just
Mm-mm.
need how we react to it under the current circumstances.
No, I just like little salt and pepper, like little hints.
Yeah.
Oh, it could have been that, or there's a satellite, or what have you.
Or, oh, there was a leak at the biotech. It's all safe. Don't worry
Right,
about it. We'll spray your car down. Just
right.
don't hit any deer. Okay.
Yeah. Like, and I do kind of explain it in my book, but I don't say what it is. It's just a
Right.
lot of shit starts happening, and all of a sudden, even more shit starts happening.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It's
yeah.
definitely a contagion kind of feel.
Right,
Uh,
right.
I do have, unfortunately, a key to uh, Army of the Dead, which is at the end, they're showing them put big box cars in place as a wall. They're showing them line up big box cars. I don't
You're
know
right.
where, but it's somewhere. And I went, oh, Zach, you even stole that idea?
Hmm.
Jesus, dude.
And I'm sure, I mean, I'm sure there's something with Zombieland too. I mean, anything that's going to have zombies is going to be a key. Um, I like the way you and I can find specific reasons sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have much else other than a trivia that I don't know if you happen to read.
Well, I have one last
Okay.
key and then do your trivia. The last
Sure.
key is Resident Evil,
Oh,
which
okay.
was, you know, to me, the original survivalist game that was turned into the franchise of movies, but the feel of the game is very similar to this. As a matter of fact, this would make a great side component to one of the Resident Evil games. It started biotech somehow. It's zombies. They can mutate into it. Resident Evil takes it even further where they can
Yeah,
go
they
into
get
weird mutations.
monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this whole having to creep along the carriage rack and not disturb the zombies, and oh, what do we do? How do I get out of this? Oh, I put a bag over his head because we didn't say it, but the bum actually saves the dad's life.
Yeah, he throws that coat on him. It's
Because
like
he
a coat.
throws a coat over the zombie that's attacking him and it can't see. So I love that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was. Hey, asshole, over here.
Over here, big guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But okay, you had trivia. Sorry.
Yeah, I just had one little trivia that I think you'll appreciate, considering that last year we did Shaun of the Dead. Filmmaker Edgar Wright, who directed Shaun of the Dead, which was a BAFTA nominated zombie movie, which I love. At least England is nominating zombie movies for big awards. He is a huge fan of this film, and he recommended it in a tweet, calling it the best zombie movie I've seen in forever.
I would agree with that.
I
would tweet that same thing.
I think he knows, because it hits on emotional resonance, and you can't just do a bang bang shoot 'em up. It doesn't work.
No, and you can't send people in for stupid reasons. People have to still have motivation that works. You guys mentioned it on your podcast to kind of circle around to the beginning of this one, but is it Gleason's character in 28 Days, the dad that gets the blood in his eye?
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson.
That's a sad moment, and
it's
feel
a very sad moment
because we care about him already.
He's been surviving up in that high rise.
Right. He wasn't just a cipher that happened. There's a moment to it. It's not just the action. It's not just the weird, bizarre death, or, can they contort and twist into weird places? It's not the makeup. We care about characters. If you're not going to put characters in your movie, don't make your freaking movie.
And he also gets infected by accident. It's not even by another zombie. It's by the blood dripping from a zombie out of
just dripped in his eye by accident. Yeah. Loved it. Anyway, I'm very glad you made me watch this movie, because I do. I went into it with trepidation, going, "Oh, man,
I know you did. I was
going to be
texting you.
Snowpiercer with dead people."
I was texting you. I was like, "Just get on the roller coaster and ride."
Yeah,
because that's exactly what this movie is to me. It's like just not, and it's 2 hours long. It's a long movie, but it moves fast.
It does. It does.
It's really, really, really good, and I would definitely put it up there in my favorite so far, probably, of this season. Definitely,
I would
right
too.
up there with Aliens and Return of the Living Dead. So, that concludes our foreign film zombie edition of the show today. We would like to thank everybody for tuning in. If you have any comments, agree or disagree with us concerning this film or any of the things we mentioned earlier on in the program, please let us know. We'd love to
let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Everything's going smoothly as far as our YouTube. We've been doing it now since a little before the middle of last season. So if you are watching us instead of listening to us, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. We can always use your help there. It's just a small move for you, but a big move for us.
Oh, yeah.
And if you feel like hearing us ramble on about X-Files or Star Trek, be sure and come over and visit us on Patreon. We also have some bonus free material stuff there as well. David, my friend, it's been a pleasure.
It has. Stay off of trains. Don't go near deer that look weird and jump up when you hit them with a car.
I'll do that. I will do that. All right, and I'll see you next week.
All right, buddy.
All right, bye.
Bye.
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.